to Conversations with Asha and Steve, where communication matters. Join us as we discuss effective ways to communicate, bridge the gaps, and build long-lasting relationships within your business and life. Here are your hosts, Asha Prasad and Steve Harper.
I somehow still screwed that up. I don't know.
You didn't, Steve. It was great. I followed it completely.
Awesome. How's it going, Asha?
Good, good. I'm Dr. Asha Prasad with Steve Harper, and this is Conversations with Asha and Steve. So, Steve, how's it going today on this beautiful Friday?
It is going great. It does look like it's going to be a beautiful Friday. Weather over here is already hot. So it's
weather over here is not hot yet, but yeah. Okay.
You get the spring tulips over there, right? I mean, you guys have you're known for the flowers or something in the Netherlands?
Yes, that is true. That is true. But that is one of the many things that is still closed.
Oh, really?
We are not. Yeah, we're not. There are things, for those of you that don't know, in Europe, things are still on semi-lockdown, you could say. This is our second round of lockdowns. And yeah, a lot of things are not open. But yes, we are known for the beautiful tulips and flowers. So maybe next year.
Yeah. maybe next.
Maybe.
And yet they don't ask you to be on the tourism board. I just don't get it.
I know, right?
Yep. Maybe next year. Sorry, do not come because we have no flowers
Straight
for you.
And to the point.
No flowers for you.
Exactly.
Well, so I'm excited to see you. I'm glad that we're back. We're certainly excited to cover this episode. We started talking a little bit last week about entrepreneurship. I was trying to fly solo a little bit with our show, and I'm anxious. We talked a little bit about kind of how we can approach this today in terms of this topic, because I think it's not just the secrets to entrepreneurship that we really want to talk about, but some of the things that you kind of have to let go of in order to improve and grow as an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah, no, exactly, Steve. I mean, I'm excited, and you did a great job last week. I just want to say, Steve,
thanks.
Thank you very much. I learned a lot. I watched the replay. I did. No, but thank you for doing that. I appreciate that. And, one of the things as entrepreneurs, I think that, yes, there are things that are like your magic bullets, your magic things that you can just kind of sprinkle into your business that will help you get to success faster. But I also believe, and you and I both know this, Steve, is that there are certain things that you have to outgrow. There are things that you just kind of have to give up or let go or change in order to make the room for your new set of skills or to do things a bit better. So I'm excited to talk about this today with you and share with our listeners today what exactly are some of those things, because I know that we've experienced a lot. I told you before we got on today, like I had this whole long list when I started, journaling about this not too long ago. And I was like, oh my God, I had to do a lot. I had to give up a lot. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
It was an eye-opener.
Free time, sanity.
Sanity, I didn't really have much of to begin with.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Neither did I. I mean, I kind of think you have to be a little bit crazy to be an entrepreneur in the first place. But
totally agree. Totally agree.
Steve Jobs talked about the crazy ones, so I guess we qualify. So.
I think we do. We do. Oh, but Steve, what would you say? What is something that you maybe didn't know it at the time that you were having to do it, but what was one of the first things that you remember having to really let go of or change or outgrow?
I think one of the things, and I'm the connection and network guy, right? So I looked at the same kind of list that you did, and when I started putting things down, it was kind of eye-opening as far as the things, how many things ended up on that list. But one of the things that was at the very top was I actually had to outgrow my network to a certain degree. The friends and even certain members of the family that didn't actually necessarily agree or believe in the fact that I could be an entrepreneur or be successful in that entrepreneurship journey. So it was a pretty big factor for me in order to have to, take that next leap of faith, is to open myself up to other relationships and other connections that potentially could help me get to that next level as an entrepreneur. which meant that sometimes you had to make room for those, people to come into your network and into your life. And that meant distancing, yourself from some people that maybe weren't all that supportive. And so that, as I thought about it, it really was kind of quite emotional, because I realized just how big an effort that was in order to do that. And how some of those same people that were kind of the negative Neds and negative Nellies in my life were or are still in the exact same spots that they were way back when, and haven't evolved or grown themselves. And, if that was all I was going to be taking in, then I likely would not have been successful as an entrepreneur. So that was a big one for me. What about you? That's
a big one, Steve. I just want to just talk about that just for a minute, because it is a really hard thing. I will tell you, because, a lot of times we want to so be appreciative, and we are appreciative for the people that are there supporting us and cheering us along and that have been there. But, the fact of the matter is that, yes, sometimes we just outgrow relationships. And it's one of the hardest things, but one of the most necessary things, because if you are being influenced by someone's, negativity or jealousy or trying to tear you down, or even if they're just, not even consciously doing it, kind of the sabotaging, kind of treating you like you're a kid, for example, especially those people that knew you as a child that thought, they can just bully you or pick on you or whatever it was. And, it's one of the hardest things, but yeah, no, that's really a good one. I mean, one of the things that I had to outgrow and still work on to this day is doing things on my own.
Yeah.
Learning to delegate, learning to know when it's time to delegate to someone. I think that is, I don't know, Steve, I don't know. Do you have this too? I'm not really sure. I kind of think that you do.
I do. Yeah. It can be a challenge. Giving up that control, especially when you're really stuck with trying to make things work, can be really tough, right? And you want it done a certain way, how to do it,
exactly.
The way that you want it done, and kind of pushing that off and having somebody else kind of take it, it's daunting.
It is a challenge. It is a challenge, but I do think, back to what you were saying about, maybe making new connections and new people in your life. This is the beauty about that, because you start to grow your network and get to know people that have different skill sets that may be more, they could be able to delegate to or to help. Not only in your network, but also in your company, the people that you bring in. And you start to, it's a practice though, but that was one of the things that I had to learn really early on. And I still do struggle with it, but I will say it is getting better and better, where I can be more clear in my communication of who I'm delegating to, of exactly what I want. And I have to say, it does take a bit of losing that control for me, like letting it go and surrendering. But it's one of the most important things that I think. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to grow in your business. You're just not going to be able to.
Absolutely. You'll just stagnate for sure. Well, Dr. Shelley Kaplar is on, and she said this is a brilliant topic. Does sanity even exist as an entrepreneur?
I don't think so. But yes, thank you for joining us. I don't think sanity exists, but
I mean, sometimes the insanity is what makes great. I think that there's a little bit of that craziness factor that you have to have in order to become a business owner and go into business for yourself and be an entrepreneur. So I think when you sign up, you probably are signing up for a much different journey than you expect in a lot of ways. But it can be so absolutely rewarding. So it's interesting. But I don't think I have my sanity much of the time.
No, me either. And you know what? I like it actually, Steve. Not only for you, but for me as well. Because here's the thing about it, is that you don't fall to the norms that society sets up. You don't think like everybody else. You don't look at things like everybody else. And there's beauty in that. Sometimes, yes, I know it can be challenging, because you're just trying to fit into a group or fit into a conversation. But to be honest with you, it's that quirkiness, like what we were talking about before, that quirkiness that is a lot of times what is needed.
Yeah, absolutely. To be successful as an entrepreneur, you got to have that, right? Well,
yeah, exactly.
So, one thing that I would say that I outgrew pretty early was getting frustrated. I had to realize that, I have a tendency to hold on to frustration and obsess about that.
Okay.
And so one of the things that really actually helped me excel as an entrepreneur was to kind of let some things go, right? Be able to, rather than just beat my head against a wall on a problem or an issue, or, how do I get more sales, or how do I build a better brand, et cetera. These things all caused frustration. And that frustration really limited my ability to be innovative, right? And be, able to focus on the broader picture, not just the individual problem or whatever the issue might be. And so I really had to outgrow that, I'm sitting in the corner until I decide and figure out what I'm going to do to solve this one little problem. I had to kind of outgrow that thinking, right? I had to realize that, yes, that was important. And yes, it was something critical for me to find a solution to. But, and you and I've talked about this, I think, on prior episodes, sometimes that frustration means that you're about to have that breakthrough. Like when you take your focus and your attention off the problem at hand and you focus on something else, all of a sudden it just comes to you, right? And I had to outgrow that thinking, because I've always been that way. Always, since being a little kid, I couldn't move on to the next math problem because I had not solved the problem that was before the next one. Right. So you can't do that. There's an order to it, which may go to that insanity part, a little bit wacky with the thinking. But I was, I remember in school, teachers always telling you, well, if you don't know the answer, go to the next question, or, just keep going. And you can always come back to it and be like, no, there's order to this process.
I have to do this.
Why are the questions numbered if you don't want me to go sequentially? Right? And so I would
don't number them.
Multiple times I would burn my time on like question 6, and it was out of 12 questions, and be like, okay, time's up. Like, what?
I didn't even get past 6.
I recognize that as a bit of a fault in myself, and that I had to realize that sometimes you have to set that problem or that issue aside, not allow yourself to just vacillate in your frustration, and then move on to something else. And that process alone really helped me grow as an entrepreneur, to outgrow that way of thinking.
Do you have a go-to, Steve? Do you have something specific that you do? Like whenever you catch yourself, no, this is, keep it PG. Like, do you have?
What are you implying, Asha?
I don't know where my mind just went for just a moment there.
Clearly, it is like happy hour time over there, because it's only 7 a.m. here.
Yeah, it's a little bit later here.
Keep it clean, PG. What the hell is that?
I don't know, Steve.
Like, we need to put like some sort of like disclaimer ahead of our show. Like, hey, Steve could just go off the rails on this question right here. Whoa, I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know.
So back to your original question now that you've helped build my brand.
I'm sorry, Steve. Steve, you are very professional. I'm sorry.
It's awesome.
It's your insanity part.
All my people on social media are probably going, yeah, that's totally him. I understand.
Yeah, that's Steve.
I understand why she would say, please, Steve, use a filter on whatever you're about to say.
Exactly.
Nagme says you guys are fun to watch. Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, apparently so.
Is Asha like, well, hey, Steve, here it is. All right. So what was your original question before you
I forgot now. What was my question? Oh, yeah, I got it. What is your go-to? Like, whenever you get frustrated, whenever you feel that frustration, like, coming up, what's your go-to? How do you work through that? How do you get yourself?
No, just kidding.
See, I knew it. At 7 a.m.
Yeah, exactly. I actually, I've done this for a number of years now. I have decided that I remove myself from the situation and I go take a walk.
Right.
There's a great trail by my house that, I'll often and I can feel it. I know when it's happening, right? I know the time to do it is, just sitting in front of my computer trying to hammer out work when I'm not really into it or not focused or
exactly.
It's just time to do something. I need a change of scenery. I'll go for a hike or I'll go for a walk around the building or whatever. Mm-hmm. And there's just that combination of nature and movement that really makes a big difference. And if after that hasn't worked, I'll come back and drink vodka. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, or you could just combine the two. I mean, have a little sippy cup.
My problem is I would like, a little sippy. my big hydro flask full of vodka. That would go really well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Steve's out pontificating again. Somebody send in the park ranger because it won't be good.
Oh,
what about you? I mean, what do you do?
With frustration, let's see. You know what? With frustration, most of the time I step away. I like to listen to music. You know what? Yeah. Music for me is one of the best things to kind of match with my mood, whatever is going on, and it helps me move through things. But I do like to get into movement too, Steve. Like go for a walk or do something totally different, just to step away. Because I think that really helps. It just helps clear the mind and get a different perspective on things. But
that's good.
Yeah.
And do you have your Icelandic bottle of vodka right next to you?
I do. I was just going to say, it is water, people, but it does look like a nice bottle of vodka. And it's clear, so yeah.
And it's almost empty. I'm just saying.
And it is almost
and look at the crap she's spinning today. Oh my God. I'm saying it's very possible. Dr. Asha could.
It is possible.
Was today a frustrating day? There's a high probability.
No, actually, it wasn't. No, I wasn't frustrated at all today. Today is
a good day.
It's a good day. It's a good day.
Well, Christina Brewer says, "Oh my gosh, you two are on it today. Happy Friday. Happy Friday to you too.
Happy Friday."
People are going to be like listening to this on the rebroadcast of the podcast. They're going to be like, "What were they doing on video?" Hey, the mystery. Yeah. The mystery. You have to check out our YouTube channel.
Come join us. Come join us next time.
So outgrowth and outgrowing these things, right, are really kind of the secrets of entrepreneurship for sure. What are some other ones that you've kind of, what are some other things that you've had to outgrow or remove from your life in order to be a more effective entrepreneur?
One thing, Steve, you and I were talking about this. We've talked about this a couple of different times, actually. It's about, and I read this recently. I cannot remember because I'm reading so many different books at the same time. I'm one of those people that is just like you, Steve, just like all over the place.
The insanity part we talked about earlier.
The insanity part is. So I was reading something that really stuck with me, and this is one of the things that really helped in entrepreneurship, is to stop living your life by looking in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
And what the basic meaning of that is basically getting past your past. So sometimes when things aren't working out, sometimes when, it's like I know that I did it a certain way in the past and it worked, or I know that I did it a certain way and it didn't work. But whenever you continuously look behind you, yes, there are things to learn. Yes, there are things that you can take with you, but that's the whole point. Take the lessons with you. But don't keep on revisiting and going back to a scenario that may not really be beneficial for your right here and right now and for your future.
Yeah.
Because it can block you. It can really block you. It can make you freeze into inaction. It can cause you to take actions or repeating your same actions and not being innovative or creative. So that was a huge one. And I will say, it's not always been easy. It really has not always been easy to not look back and go, well, back then I did it this way, or, this happened whenever I did this, or, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's one of those things. So now what I do is that a lot of times I've had to practice this. When a problem comes up and I'm trying to be really creative and be in the moment, I try not to look back, but I try to visualize, okay, what is it that I want to see? Yeah. How would I love for this to go? And focus on that.
Yeah.
Instead of, looking back. So that's been a really big one. Well,
what I'm hearing in that is that you're you're taking the lessons from what your experience has been in the past, and you're asking yourself the questions, right? The heavy questions about that, right? Which helps you lead yourself to those lessons, which is, I think, super critical. I always tell my coaching clients, it's funny because, use the car metaphor, right? The rear view mirror. When you have that small little mirror and it's supposed to show you what's behind you, it requires the most focus for you to, dive in and look in that mirror to look at the detail of the past, as opposed to looking out through the windshield, which is wide open and full of possibilities. And yet so many of us get focused on doing that, paying attention to this little mirror, this little back, the backwards look of whatever the experience was or whatever our past might have been. And we are so focused on living there or spending our time there that we can't see the obstacles ahead that either were opportunities or what's about to crash in front of us, right? So, you look at those things, I think there's always lessons in the past, and there's good times to go back and evaluate those things and look at them for what they are. But like you said, asking yourself those questions: what did I learn from this? What was the experience? What did I take away? What do I not want to repeat? What do I want to do differently? And what can what and why did these things happen? Those questions, just the what and the whys, are really powerful. And they help you sort of develop what it is that you need to do now and in the future in terms of evaluating, your position on certain things, right? Your experience that you went through, or why a client situation didn't work out, or why you lost the big deal, or whatever the issue is. But then you just have to set it back there and let it stay. And take the lessons that you can from it, and then leverage what you've, take those lessons and leverage them in a way that allows you to benefit yourself going forward, but don't live in the past. And I think that's a beautiful one. I mean, that's a really good point.
It's a really big one too, Steve. And, one of the things that I think is that, we can tend to beat ourselves up, especially if we're looking back on something that didn't work out the way that we wanted to. And the point of it is I always remind myself, it's like, okay, I did the best that I could in the time that happened with the knowledge that I had. And just leave it at that. I didn't know the things that I know today back then. Otherwise, I would have done things differently. So just let it be. Just let it. You can't go back and change it, but you can change it right now in the present moment. So, but that's been a really big one. I think that is something early on. Starting businesses and working and stuff. But even now, even to this day, I utilize that little exercise of just being able to let that go and kind of outgrow that and be like, okay, let me move beyond this. This is what I've learned from that. Sure. Now, how can I apply that right now? With the situation right now. So
because in every situation, there's a lesson if you're willing to dig in and look at it, right? You just digging in doesn't mean you stay in. So that's, I think, a pretty critical factor. So
exactly. And that's why, what you were saying, Steve, about asking questions, the quality of the questions that we ask ourselves really gives us the truth of whatever is we're trying to face. And I think that's where, when I'm working with coaching clients, you're working with coaching clients, one of the best things to do is to be able to go through this dialogue and inquiry of really good quality questions. Because, sometimes people can be like, well, why is this happening to me? Well, that's not a very powerful question. You know what I mean? Like, it kind of keeps you in Victimville for a long time. Like, it's
Victimville. I think I owe some rent there. I'm not sure.
Do you?
It's probably going to come up on a credit report one day. I mean, it was really comfortable. I mean, it was a really nice, really accommodating gigs. Fully furnished. But you're right. It keeps you there, and that's not a good place to be. That's for sure.
No, I mean, the weather's kind of yucky. I don't know. It's not such a great place.
Oh, I never went outside. I just stayed in the dark corner.
Oh, geez.
I mean, it was comfortable.
Oh, you were living on that corner. Oh, I see. You were on that side.
Yeah, it didn't seem that bad.
Yeah. Oh, Steve. I know we are, for those of you out there, we're just in a very, very odd mood today. I can see.
I mean, some of us are, clearly.
Clearly, I mean, I've had my water, and no.
Well,
But Steve, what is another? What's something else that you have had to outgrow?
I think actually, it kind of goes along the lines of the first one that I talked about, but it's actually a little deeper in that I actually had to outgrow the opinions of other people.
That's a good
I
one.
spent a lot of time in my early entrepreneurial career worrying about what everybody else thought or what everybody else was doing and why I wasn't there and why I wasn't at their same level of success, or why they were dropping down their Black American Express card and I was like, I had a Disney chase car. Really, I just think that was my wife just screwing with me, right? So, but
that sounds about right. Yeah.
At the end of the day, I would worry about those things though. Being in a business dinner or being in an environment where I looked at and viewed other people as far more successful than myself, and then worried about how their perception was of me. And then it got, technically it got worse because as I grew as an entrepreneur, I had more interests. I had more things that I was doing. And so then people would be like, oh, you just have a hard time focusing. You're just like, you should focus on the one thing. That's why I've been successful. And you're doing way too much. And you're trying to do this thing with the Ripple over here and be an author and a speaker. And then you want to be a tech entrepreneur and you want to, invest in things, et cetera. And, and then you'd be like, you have this power. They have this power over you to put you down in an instant, which makes you really start questioning everything that you're doing. And I think it was probably in my late 30s, maybe early 40s, that I finally got over that. Like, I really appreciate the perspective, but that's exactly what it is. It's a perspective. It's not that's not my reality. It's their reality.
Right.
And so figuring out how to outgrow the opinions of other people, especially when it came down to making the big decisions that I needed to make in my life. I got really small with my core group of advisors, of which you're one. And when things are at a point where I need a sanity check or I need to know, I need to take in some outside perspectives, I have those people that are willing to step up to the plate for me that will be there in an instant without judgment, right? They will just give me the goods and the bads of a situation or an environment that they, based on what they know, but there's no judgment about which direction I head. They're just there fully to support me. So I had to outgrow the network of people that were not supportive, but more importantly, I had to outgrow the network of worrying about the people that were all about the pomp and circumstance and worrying about what they thought or what their opinion was.
Yeah, that's a really big one, Steve, and I agree with you. That's a tough one. I have had trouble with that from time to time, especially when it comes to close friends or close family, like really worrying about what their perspective is or what they're thinking. But that is something that I think that once you start to outgrow that and once you start to realize like, hey, you know what? Actually, nobody can define who I am.
Yeah.
Who I'm going to be.
That's absolutely
what I'm going to do.
Right.
And it doesn't matter. People can have opinions, but it doesn't make it true for you.
Yep. Absolutely.
So, but I think that's a big one. That is a really, really good one.
Well, Christina Brewer just said success can be fake, though. So many times I find the flashier people are, the more they are relying on those high-dollar items to distract others from their shortcomings. Yeah, absolutely.
Agreed.
I agree wholeheartedly. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I agree that.
That's very, very telling. Yeah. It's absolutely accurate. I do think that, those people that boast the most and, kind of, show out, if you will, are generally the people that are probably the most insecure, which it took me a long time to arrive at that and to understand that. I mean, you and I know somebody in common that puts on a great act about certain things, and they're, soulless in a lot of ways, which, kind of makes you feel bad for them because they don't recognize it. And I do think that they kind of recognize it. I think that's why they go so far to the other extreme to try and make others think they're so super successful or the smartest person in the room. And I don't know. I think that there's a certain amount of humbleness that you have to have as an entrepreneur when you get to that level. I think that I didn't know that in my 20s. I probably didn't even know it in my 30s. That at some point, not everybody's expecting you to be the smartest person in the room. They're expecting you to have good, thoughtful conversation, strong, approach to how you might do certain things, but at the end of the day, not necessarily the guy that has all the answers or gal that has all the answers. Yeah. And that's okay. And now I walk in and I always tell people, I had a client opportunity yesterday, and I was telling the person, I said, she was like, wow, it's like impressive. I'm talking to the CEO of this company. I'm like, it's not that impressive. Let me just tell you. I said, I'm really not the CEO. I'm the CDG. I'm the chief dumb guy, right? I ask a lot of questions, and I like to I learn and absorb. But I've hired and grown my business with really intelligent and smart people, and have amazing people that are part of the team that have much better ways of delivering whatever it is that we deliver. And she was like, but that's why we want to do business with you, because she said there's just no errors there. And it's not an act, it's reality. And what I have realized is I definitely over the last 10 years or so, I admit I don't know anything. I'm constantly learning, I'm constantly evolving, and I'm trying to grow as a person and as an individual. And that makes, I think, from an entrepreneur's perspective, me a better entrepreneur or potentially a better leader.
I think so too, Steve. You know what? People are always going to remember you on how you made them feel. They're not going to remember about the fact that you had, this very, very expensive, vocabulary or ability to be able to quote all sorts of stuff, or, whatever it is, or the Porsche that you drive, Steve, But I mean,
Did you take it? Because I don't have it.
I borrowed it. Don't worry. I'll have it back to you. No, I'm just kidding.
I would like it back, please. I mean, I never saw it in the first place, so we need to see which one I had before you took it. So.
I know, exactly.
And thank you for admitting, putting out the vocabulary thing there, because I know like 35 words, and you're still allowing me to be on your show.
Listen, I can barely speak English anymore after speaking a different language day in and day out over here. So let me just tell you,
Look, you went into another country and learned an entire new language and became an entrepreneur over there. I know. Hola.
Isn't that crazy?
Hola and ¿cómo estás? And bueno.
That's great. And bueno, those are all good. And cerveza, I'm sure you know that one too.
Yes, but I always forget that.
I can't believe that, Steve.
Cerveza, por favor. How about that? But
see, there you go.
You went and you learned an entire language to become an entrepreneur over there. So that's far more impressive than...
It's kind of crazy, but see, there's that insanity piece. I look back on that and think, oh my, that took some insanity there. I didn't think that one through. That's okay.
I don't know. You're doing pretty all right for yourself. But, when you think about those things, like you're saying, I mean, that pomp and circumstance when people are doing those kinds of things, it's now that you have some distance on that, right? And you look at it for what what that is, it's pretty amazing how that, it really is a tie into the ego. And I think that the people that are entrepreneurs that have that ego that just, it just drips from them, they're generally ones that aren't the most successful, right?
No, and they're not because they get in their own way. Yeah. They really that ego gets in their way, basically. I mean, and a lot of it is based in fear and based in insecurity. And they're just afraid of saying, I don't know. They're just afraid of saying that, or I need help, or I need assistance, or I need guidance, or
Oh, along that lines, Christina said, now I'm set to come to Spain. I know the basics vocabulary.
Oh, good.
Oh, sweet. I can come up and keynote on 5 words. That'll be what I'll do in Spain. That'll be,
there you go.
Well, so we talked about the things that we've kind of abandoned, right? Or that we've let go or outgrown. Maybe give our audience members, like last week, I when I was riding solo on the show, I talked about do it anyway, right? Find a way to do it anyway. I feel like a good way to finish would be, what's one that you have done that has really been pivotal to your career as an entrepreneur? So mine was, I'm gonna be scared, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So what would be yours in that regard?
I mean, you know what, Steve, it's interesting because it's exactly what you just spoke about with me picking up and moving to a different country. Yeah. Because that was, it scared me. It scared me like you would not believe. And a lot of people don't even realize this. a lot of my friends at the time, a lot of people that they just thought, oh, well, this is just who she is. This is what she's doing. But it scared the heck out of me to pick up out of my very comfortable network of people and just go to somewhere where don't speak the language, don't know anybody, and it was very, very scary. And so for me, that was it is a big challenge that I took on, but I just went for it because there was something inside of me that just thought, you know what, Asha, you're going to have to because what happened is that I was forcing myself to fend for myself in every single way in my life, every single way. And that's not something I really highly recommend to everybody to do, of course, unless you're up for the challenge. And if I had known, looking back, of course, some of the challenges that I would face, I don't know if I would have done them or not. But what happens is that fear gets so big and it gets so in your face that you think, you know what, that's it. I'm just gonna do this anyway. What's the worst thing that can happen is I could pack up my bags and then turn around and come back. Mm-hmm. That was it. And that's what I kept on telling myself. Even my family told me that. They said, listen, things don't go well. You just pack up and come home. Period.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's great.
And knowing that, of course, that gave comfort. But at the same time, that was one of the things. And of course, starting businesses here was another hurdle. It was always going into that unknown. I would say that would be the theme of all of it, is going and being being afraid, but going ahead and taking that step into the unknown, just doing it anyway, and just knowing that you've got your own back. You don't need anybody to have you've got your own back, and that you can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. I mean, and I remember the time when you were doing it, I was probably one that was like, what? Like, what?
I think so.
Why are you doing this exactly?
I know.
Like, I mean, you don't want to live in Austin anymore. Like, yeah, you could just go to Dallas. I mean, I don't understand why you got to go over there and learn a whole new language.
I know.
But the thing that impressed me the most about you was that you dove in with both feet. You were committed to the process. I remember talking to you in those early days when you were doing the 2 days or two times a day, I think, language immersion. And I was just so amazingly impressed that you did take that leap of faith, but you laid down the bet on yourself, which I think is one of the key lessons for anybody that wants to be a successful entrepreneur. You only make the bets on yourself, right? At the end of the day, if the problem is big enough to be fixed and you've got the way to fix it and you got a business that you can build around it, then good on you, go for it. If you need to relocate or you need to go re-educate yourself in order to equip yourself with the skills necessary to be successful, then good on you, right? And at the end of the day, no matter what it is, you're the one that has to live with the choices that you make, and you're the one that has to have your own back, like you said. And when you have confidence in your ability to deliver, success generally tends to find you, and it's not something you have to look really hard for. And so I think you're a beautiful example of taking a gigantic leap of faith, but there was never a doubt in my mind ever that you would be successful, because you're brilliant at every level, right? And you always have been.
Oh, thank you,
but
Steve. Just
go in the direction you're going, I'm like, of course, she's probably going to run the whole damn country over there. I don't even know where it is, but I mean, it's it's going to be great. They have flowers, and
they have flowers.
But Asha will tell you, not this year. It's not happening this year.
Not this year.
Come back next year, maybe.
maybe.
But no, in all seriousness, I never once doubted the fact that you would be successful. And I actually at the time remember thinking to myself, you had legitimately outgrown this environment. You needed to have new adventures, and you had to have new experiences, because that's what your entrepreneurship journey required. And I think that's great. At some point, I'll do the same. I'm not going to change countries. I don't think.
Are you sure, Steve?
This one might kick me out. I'm not sure, but maybe.
Maybe changing planets? I don't know.
I am not going to space. I'm not going to space.
Keep repeating
Even
that
if you get that ticket, I am not going on any of those spaceship things. I won't even go on a Ferris wheel. You think I'm going up in a rocket? No way.
Steve, what about a simulator? Like
No.
we could go to, oh my God. Okay, never mind. Okay, so that's not where Steve's going to take his leap of faith. I get it. I get it.
Yeah, no, not going to the moon to open my satellite office up there. Not doing it.
Satellite office.
Although that would be kind of cool, actually, now that I think about it.
That would be cool. That'd be really cool.
Maybe you just knock me out. I wouldn't even know that I was up there until I got up there.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. That's where the vodka comes in.
Yeah, that's where that becomes very important.
Well, so
Very
as we looked, I mean, this has been a fun conversation. We have been all over the place with it, which is, I mean, our typical. I love that about us. I love it when
Yes.
we can let our hair down and enjoy the chats. Like, I mean, we always do, but when we can laugh a little bit about the experience and the opportunity, I think it just makes for a fun show. And so, as we look to wind down, Asha, why don't you let our viewers know how they can best find out more about our we have a couple of things actually before we do that. One, you have a program that I tried to do my best to pitch it for you last week, but I really suck at it. So I figured
No, you don't.
here's
No,
an
you
opportunity for you to tell everybody about it because it's a pretty exciting milestone for you.
Yeah, no, exactly. I just released, I guess a week or two ago, my 250th episode of my own podcast, The Prasad Principles. And so in celebration of that and in gratitude for my listeners and my clients and anybody out there that wants to, engage in any of my work or learn more about what I'm doing, I'm giving 25% off on all products in our shop. And you can visit my website, theprasadmethod.com, and go to the shop page, and you can find out. I have some workbooks, digital courses. All of it is on sale for the month of May. Just use the word celebrate. And it's been a really, my podcast is quite different than what Steve and I do. I'm one of those people I just want to be
very serious, and she doesn't have this moron of a co-host. Let's just put it that way.
But I just get to it. It's like, this is what I'm talking about. Because a lot of times, people are emailing me things that they want to talk about, or when I'm working with my own clients and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, I can cover something on that. So it's interesting, but be sure to check that out. And definitely Steve and I have a joint, venture. Steve, do you have that? Or
I do not.
You don't have it? It's okay. They can go to your website,
I really
though,
should
correct?
have it. Let me look and see. So
Okay. Of
course, that was the last thing I thought about doing today, and then you popped on early. So I blame you.
It's my fault. Well, can you? Yeah, they can. Can you speak about it and where they can go on your site to check it out?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go to ripplecentral.com and go to shop under programs. Dr. Asha and I have a lightning strike coaching session program that we are doing for a very reduced fee, 2 coaches, price of 1. We can talk about any topic that you'd want. Our sessions last an hour and a half, and it's a low fee of $316 for the session. And you will walk away with some great ideas, some great strategies about whatever it is that you want to talk about, whether it's entrepreneurship, leadership, health, fitness, getting your mental mind right, whatever it is. People are coming to us with all sorts of topics, and these sessions are really designed to be really, really powerful. And there's no gimmick. It's not, hey, now we did this, now you got to jump into our program. We don't do like a lot of coaches out there. You certainly are welcome to continue to work with us as a duo pair, or you can decide whether it makes more sense to pick up a relationship with either one of us. But we're pretty excited about this coaching program because there are a lot of folks out there that, as they're coming out of this sort of fog we've had relative to the pandemic, they're trying to figure out what they want to do next and kind of reevaluating a whole lot of things in their lives. And so we're really good at kind of figuring that out and helping. And the chemistry that Asha and I have on this show just translates really well to our coaching. When we really get in and get serious about trying to help somebody move the needle, it's something that we're passionate about. So you can check that out at ripplecentral.com and look for the shop icon, and you should be good to go. And then, of course, conversationswithashaandsteve.com is our website. You can also find us, Conversations with Asha and Steve, our YouTube channel. So be sure to check those out. We're trying to build our subscribers. We don't have that many subscribers on our YouTube channel. So YouTube's like, hey, you need to get some subscribers. So we're like, hey, you're right, we should. And so please do us a favor and jump over there and subscribe to our channel so that you're kept apprised of all these great episodes that we're doing. You'll get to be able to see some of the past episodes that we've done, and certainly would appreciate if you'd subscribe and put on that notification bell so that you're aware when we actually are going live. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, well, Steve, this has been fun. It's been fun. We don't laugh this much all the time, so maybe we need to do that more. No, we do. I think we do. It was great. I loved it. Well, listen, you have a fantastic weekend, and enjoy. You're probably getting your weekend started now. The rest of us over here in the States are just about to slog it forward for a whole 8 hours, but you guys are way cooler over there. So what are you going to do? But enjoy your weekend. I look forward to doing another live stream with you next week. Sounds good, Steve. Well, thank you everybody for joining, and see you next time. Sounds good. Bye for now.